women is not only important because this is critical for gender equality and it is there with the principle of justice, but it is also very critical to ensure that there is a more sustainable and equitable development, and also that women are given the dignity in the society, because property is something which not only provides economic freedom, it also provides political power, a social identity, a cultural, social recognition, a cultural identity, and at the same time address issues around violence, and moreover in the context of larger global development, it also ensures climate change resilience. For example, if a woman has property rights clearly defined, she can take a decision to start her own enterprise when she is alone, when she is a widow, when she is single, and she can live a life of dignity. Even within a family, it has been seen when women property right is defined well and identified and recognized, the family's income goes up, food security is better, crop production improved, children's nutrition is becoming better, and also children's education and whole family well-being. So in a nutshell, with a lot of research that has been done globally and also the studies in India and outside, it is clear that women property right has many positive outcomes, both at the family level, at the society level and global level. But in spite of that, we find that in India, the property rights of women remains pretty low. Though there has been some marginal increase over the last few years, thanks to a gender equitable legal framework that India has as per the constitution, as well as some reformist laws and institutional reform that have come over years. For example, the Hindu Succession Act amendment in 2005, making daughter the co-personary, the stamp duty reduction to register land in the name of women, the joint titling that started with any land grant program that government was doing since 80s in many states of India, as well as the Forest Right Act, which provided again a joint titling. We find still the practice remains low, and women's land right remain around 14% if you look at agriculture census. If you look at National Family Health Census, it is a little bit more because they look at land and housing both individual and jointly. So this also brings to us another fact that while property rights of women remain low, they are also presented differently in different data sets. So for example, agriculture census, India Human Development Survey, National Family Health Census, socio-economic census. So there are many data sets that float around presenting women land right, but we find they don't agree with each other. They have different methodologies, and to like a cost women, they also confuse the policy at many point of time. So in this context, we see in spite of a good policy and good data set, this women land right is a challenge. And then if you look at why, we find it is one of the major reasons is the role of social conditioning or patriarchy that is entrenched in Indian society, be it in family, be it in government, where male find it difficult to share the property with women. Then we also find the issues of capacity among the officials, among the NGOs working around for the enhancing property right. We also find lack of resource availability, which are much less in comparing to other areas, so that investment to improve women land right are less and the impact reduced. We also found that technology and data towards women land right enhancement is less. So if you look at that scenario look quite gloomy. But at the same time, thanks to many of the state and non-state actors and their innovations around technology and institution, we find good examples which can be thought of replicating and scaling up in other part of India to improve the women land right. And what are they? So I would divide them into three kind of approaches or three kind of pathways. One is start with what we call right-based pathways, and second is the pathways which are linked to economic freedom of the communities, women. And third on the list is the market-based pathway or entrepreneurship pathway. Coming to right-based pathway, we see the examples that WGWLO is doing in Gujarat as a network of NGOs where they are trying to train paralegals, bringing in some kind of legal aid clinic and trying to help women, widows, wives, daughters to get their right, to know their right and help them in getting that right through the existing legal framework. So in a way, these are something, small innovations at the field, some institutional innovations, who is able to enhance women land right by negotiating, by not only enhance the awareness, but also negotiating with the power structure in the villages as well as with the government officials. Similarly, there is another innovation which is happening right here in Maharashtra through this Kaida Sathis that Mahabhim is promoting and also trying to promote this Lakshmi Mukti and Ghar Dogan.